Hey yo guys, I'm back here to do another episode of Down and Dirty with the Dirty White Boy. It's something I've planned on doing for a while, but life's been busy. So anyways, just go ahead and answer your questions. I guess actually before we get into that, it's a busy weekend-ish. I mean, we got a pay-per-view tomorrow, WWE Judgment Day, which, I don't plan on making a preview video for it, but just gotta say, the show on paper looks like it's going to do much better than BackLash was, so I'll just say that. I mean, anything on the ECW/SmackDown side looks really good to great. You can put it in that category. And, the Raw main event, while the booking of the build-up to it hasn't been maybe the most exciting thing, I think Batista and Orton can put on a good match. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, their last match they had back at, Armageddon was terrible. Remember, Batista was working with an injury at that point, so that's where I look at it. But anyways, and of course we had two MMA events. I've just started watching the Shogun MMA show, so I plan on trying to give you a review of that maybe tomorrow and throw in the MFC show, which had Bobby Lashley on it against Mike Cook with the Judgment Day. But anyway, let's do the question and answers here. First question is your opinions about a controversy regarding Miguel Cotto being accused of punching his uncle/coach, causing problems with his staff and Top Rank, as well as the GSP versus Thiago Alves fight. Well, the first thing with Miguel Cotto being accused of punching his uncle/coach, I believe that 100%. We all know that Miguel Cotto has a massive personal problem. His uncle, who, like as you said, is his coach as well. So I believe that 100%. My opinions of it, I mean, it's kind of sad that, families clash like that when they come together, in a sport that they love. But you just knew it was bound to happen. I mean, they've had history in the past where, Miguel wasn't performing well enough. So, they got into heated arguments almost to the point where they actually did, blows as well. So, Cotto doing this punching him in the face, I can understand that. Cotto's got all this pent-up, I can believe that, I should say. Cotto's got all this pent-up frustration, probably still going from the Margarito loss of last year. Now, he's training for a fight that a lot of people wanted him to see. It's a big fight as well. I mean, think about this. I mean, he's fighting a guy a lot of people want to see him fight, and, a lot of people are expecting him to win. Plus, he's fighting in, New York on the weekend of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. So there's a lot of pressure there. And he's just trying to, prove that that loss wasn't anything there. So I can believe that. My thoughts about this GSP Alves fight for the welterweight championship at UFC 100. I'm really looking forward to this fight. Honestly, GSP, after he just decimated Penn, maybe not in the most entertaining fashion. He absolutely did decimate BJ. He's up there against Thiago Alves, who looked pretty good in his last two performances. I mean, he's one of the people that I would say, he definitely dominated Matt Hughes, but then again, you have to put into question how much of that was, the extra weight that he had, because he missed weight by, 4 pounds. It was a vicious knockout. I mean, the nice combination there, so I say that. And he looked really good against Koscheck. Now, the thing that I'm going to have to throw in here is I thought in that fight back at UFC 90 against Josh Koscheck I thought Koscheck would be able to take him down and, do well. I didn't think he'd win the fight, but I thought maybe, his takedowns would win him a couple rounds. Alves was able to stuff all of Koscheck's takedowns, and Alves, to me, is the biggest, mass, maybe the biggest guy at welterweight. So that's where I put into question with GSP on how he's going to be able to go there. I think it'll be an interesting fight. I think it'll definitely be an exciting fight. I don't think both guys have, boring fight styles. So, but overall, I mean, I can't bet against GSP at this rate. Right now, I'm still going to take GSP. I think GSP's still got all the tools in the world. I think maybe he can get, that's one thing I'm worried about is, can he get him down? I think there's potential for him to get him down, but still, I think, I don't know if he wants to go toe-to-toe on the stand-up department, but, I mean, if GSP's got it, I mean, he's going to probably use his leg kicks and what have you. That's where I see that fight, going, and be the stand-up. It'd just be interesting to see, how, if Alves can stop a GSP takedown like he did Koscheck, which absolutely blew me away. So that's where I look at it. I mean, I think if it goes down to the ground, then I'm saying, St. Pierre gets the win by submission, but we'll see where things go. Thanks for the question. Next question is, what are your thoughts on the Edge and Christian tease at BackLash, and do you think they will do anything with this? I don't think they'll do anything with it, at this rate at least. I think it was just to have a cool moment backstage. Something I like to do, and it was a cool moment. My thoughts about it, it was a cool moment. It was something that we expected. Now, I wish they would have definitely, made Christian the attacker of Jeff Hardy, but whatever. Christian's turned out to be actually a very well babyface, so I'm fine with it. Do you think that the potential Arthur Abraham and Kelly Pavlik fight should be a middleweight unification fight? Absolutely. I think if you have a fight like that, Pavlik would love a fight like that. It's one of the top middleweights in the world. He's got a belt of his own. Just the people don't know him here in the States, or North America, I should say. Maybe what they could do, I don't know. Maybe give Abraham a fight here in North America, against a decent enough opponent, and then throw him in there just so that the North American audience gets to know him. I definitely think this fight should be. I think it'd be a great fight for boxing. Both guys are very well skilled. Pavlik really doesn't have anyone left in the middleweight division in North America to beat up, so let's get the best guy from Europe and see what he can do up against Kelly Pavlik. So why not have that fight? That's just my thoughts there. Anderson Silva versus Fedor at light heavyweight. Who wins? That's an interesting thing or fight right there. Right now, I do just pick Fedor. I think Fedor still is just the man. I don't think, first of all, that's a fight that Silva's camp wants. Fedor does walk around at what, 230 naturally, so the cut wouldn't be hard for him. I think he could definitely make that cut, so I think the fight, if it's heavyweight, Fedor wins. Silva, just judging on their last performances, we all know Silva hasn't had the greatest performances, and Fedor made Tim Sylvia look stupid, and he had a vicious knockout, let's just put it that way, on Andrei Arlovsky in the main event of the Affliction Day of Reckoning show. So who wins? I go Fedor, just because I think that, in the stand-up, with striking at least, I would definitely take Fedor over them. And on the ground, definitely Fedor, so that's why I would win. Any good books, such as books on the history of the business or the old territory days? Any of the books written by, Scott Keith are good. Basically, his stuff's from, I'd say, the Attitude Era and up and what have you. So some of Scott Keith's books are good. On the territories, I'm reading. There's a book that ECW Press put out, basically with the history of the NWA from their startup to the present day to to around TNA, basically, before TNA left the NWA. So that's one book I'm trying to think of. Anything else I can, not off the top of my head. There's plenty of books though. A Brody book. Any book you pick up, even though it's a biography, you get to get pieces of the territories. Like there's Bruiser Brody's biography. If you get Bret Hart's book, you get to learn pieces and stuff like that. So that's what there's the book on Stampede Wrestling that I believe Heath McCoy put out as well. So pick that one up right now. The UFC demo, and if so, what did you think of it? I haven't played it yet. I plan on picking it up Tuesday. I'd rather just play the whole game instead of just two strikers basically going bad to start. Yeah, Shogun can give you a submission, but still, I'd rather play with different weight classes and stuff like that than the demo. I really would like to play the demo, but I haven't had time to. Since Tommy Dreamer has wrestled his last match, looking back, in your opinion, what is your favorite match/memory in regards to him? My favorite thing, obviously, would be, his feud with Raven back in the original ECW. That's where I would definitely go with Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer was one of the few guys in ECW, because ECW got a lot of flack. I'm talking in the the earlier days of just being garbage wrestling and what have you. But Tommy Dreamer was one of the guys that's actually a strong work rate guy. He could have a really good promo. You could tell most of his promos, I should say, that came from the heart, so that's something I can, definitely respect there. Whether it be, you know, those Kane matches he had with the Sandman, you know, anything. I like a lot of Tommy Dreamer's stuff. You know, his feud with Foley over the fact that the ECW fans would be the death of him. So that's just some of the stuff I like. And just, you know, some of the bumps that Tommy Dreamer would take. I mean, you know, his matches with C.W. Anderson I thought were really good in ECW as well. So that's just my thoughts on him. I mean, a strong promo guy. You know, definitely the moment where, you know, he took, it was Beulah and Kimona and, you know, made out with both of them, getting ECW kicked off every television station in the States, you know. Just stuff like that. I mean, and just the fact that he was a company guy, which is, you know, in those days when you had, like, a guy from ECW who would just go for the money for either WWF or WCW, he was a guy that was with the company. You know, that's something you have to respect about him, that he wanted this thing to really, really take off. So, and that's just my thoughts on it. And just the bumps he took, like when Taz, like, suplexed him off the floor. Like, Jesus Christ. Why Cena's move called the Attitude Adjustment instead of the FE? Why did they change it? Well, basically WWE made the change because they're PG now and they're more kid-friendly, and they thought that a finishing move called the FU was not going to float well for the kids with their parents, so they just changed it to the Attitude Adjustment. So, same way they've changed the One Night Stand pay-per-view, because that was apparently too sexually to a Night of Extreme or Extreme Rules, or that's what they changed it to, Extreme Rules. The WWE's been on later with a hot streak with every single pay-per-view since Cyber Sunday. Either the WWE title or World Heavyweight title has changed hands. When do you think this streak will end, and why do you think WWE has developed such a streak? When do I think the streak will end? Well, hopefully the streak, I definitely think the streak's going to end probably this Sunday. That's basically, you can't keep flipping titles. It clearly, it hurts the title. I mean, it doesn't make the guys winning the belt look that all important. Why did they develop a streak? Simple. Why did they change, you know, titles basically every freaking week of television back in the Attitude Era? Well, they did it just so for ratings on Raw on Monday. That's why. So you would tune in, oh man, let's just see, did he win or not? So, I mean, my friend told me that this happened, so let's just tune in. I didn't get to, but let's tune in, because, you know, they know maybe these, you know, smaller shows you may not want to order, so they know they have Raw to see what happens there. That's why they've developed it. I mean, when you look, just look at, like, the WWE Championship, really, in the Attitude Era. It was, you know, something that would just bounce around. Like when Kane won the belt. Kane wins the belt, what did you drop it the next night? Just because, oh man, Kane won the belt, I gotta see him with the belt, and then they had the title match and what have you. A lot of the belts in the Attitude Era, so it's just for ratings. Right now, I mean, ever since the Attitude Era, or the Monday Night Wars, whatever you want to call it, television seems to be more important than pay-per-view, which I'm not 100% sure about that. Which current indie star, anybody outside of TNA or ROH, do you think would be most successful if they had wrestled in the 70s and 80s? I definitely think the Butcher would. Necro was definitely like a tough guy. He's a strong brawler. I think that type of style would have worked in, you know, Mid-South territory, or even in Japan back then in the 70s or 80s. I definitely think that. Jack Swagger, I definitely think could work. Even though he's not an indie guy, I'm just saying I think Jack Swagger would. He's got a pedigree of, you know, background wrestling that could have definitely worked. If any indie guy. You know, it's tough because the indies, it's not a lot of people. I mean, Eddie Kingston, another tough guy. He'd have probably lasted around a great promo as well. I definitely think he would have survived. I think a Davey Richards as well, because he just so much reminds me of a Dynamite Kid. He would have probably fit in well to like a Stampede territory, or Japan. He's actually fit in well in current days today. Eddie Edwards, another one. That tag team, I think, would have been some great stuff. Even though they are ROH, I'm just saying, you know, I mean, it's really hard to say with the indies these days. I don't know if a lot of the guys could have made it back in the territories. Maybe a Danny DeMonto could have, just because he's, you know, he was a big agile guy, maybe that a strong attraction, and he had charisma, could relate to the crowd. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys, it's pretty tough to say there, so those are the guys I think that could. Yeah, sorry they worked in ROH, but still, that's just my... Some of them did work in ROH, but those are some of the guys I think could work in the territories back then. What's the deal with Jeff Hardy and the talk of him being out of WWE? Well, I think Jeff Hardy, currently, Jeff just wants a break from, this road schedule. It's not that he hates WWE or anything like that, how they've treated him since he came back. I mean, how the man just was champion, and he's consistently been in a big program. And he's one of the most beloved guys by the fans. And, this company really wants to sign him. I mean, they were opting just to sign him for like a short term to keep him. So that's basically it. I mean, he wants to do some other side projects, whether that's, he apparently has an offer on the table to host like a reality show or host a show of some sort on MTV. And then, once that ends, probably come back to WWE. He's just a little bit tired. So, he's right now can't go because a lot of the top guys in WWE are not there. Like, you got Shawn Michaels not there. Undertaker not there, so that's in sense, which is kind of a tie into the next question. When did WWE decide to turn Morrison face, and why the fuck did they put him over Shelton so easily on SmackDown? I wouldn't say they put him over so easily. It was a good match. I mean, it's not like it was a squash match or anything, so I disagree with that. But like I said, the WWE turned John Morrison face because they just realized, holy shit, we don't have any top baby faces. All we have on SmackDown, really, for faces was Jeff Hardy, Undertaker, who's not there not there because he's hurt, and probably a part-timer as well. And you have, Punk there. Punk's a babyface. So they're now a decent enough babyface who gets a good enough reaction. And, now they're really trying to push him hard as a top babyface. And Jeff Hardy, but we don't know how long Jeff Hardy's going to be there, so that's why they really turned John Morrison face, because they're like, oh, we gotta get some new faces out there. So they made him, they just did it spur of the moment. Would have liked maybe an angle to come out of it, why he turned face. To me, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, he's got to change his look. Now, I disagree with that. I mean, look, when Shawn Michaels was heel in '95 after, he lost to Diesel, they gave him face and he wore the same. He can do that. I mean, his promos they're good. It's just there's something lacking in them. That's all I got to say. I mean, with this whole breakup of Miz and Morrison, you can tell Miz is actually the better one on the mic, and Morrison was the better one in the ring. So that's just my thoughts there. And an MMA question, your early take on Diaz versus Smith and Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin. With Diaz versus Smith, I'm really looking forward to this fight, as both guys had really, Diaz at least had a really strong performance. Smith just had a hell of a fight there with Benji Radek on the first Strikeforce show. That's all I really got to say. I'm looking forward to it. Only concern is that there's not enough depth into Strikeforce. I mean, yeah, you have all these guys that are rumored to coming in, but I would like to see them potentially on your card. And really, that could be, the main event. Wow, Shields and Robbie Lawler is going to be a great fight. Hell, a lot of people, judging on that great performance from Smith and that decimation by Diaz on Frank Shamrock, I mean, that could be a main event in its own right. So that's my thoughts there. I mean, I don't understand why Strikeforce made the move to put Kevin Randleman on the undercard of this show, MMA show. That, for the life of me, I won't understand. Why wasn't he on that card in June in St. Louis? I don't know. I think he definitely should be on there. Against maybe an up and comer or something, like someone with a decent enough record, but still Kevin Randleman's a name. Former UFC heavyweight champion. Why not put him on there? So that's my thoughts there. And Silva versus Griffin, I think this is going to be a great fight. It's a fight, like I said in previous videos, Silva's wanted this fight with, a big name and a guy that's really good. That take him down as well and, give him some problems, mounting him with the submission game. But I think it's going to be a great and exciting fight, which is something Silva really needs to prove that he can still do. Next question, is it right for a heel wrestler to punch, push, or kick a fan that provoked him? Absolutely. I mean, the fans have no reason to, provoke a wrestler, beyond their breaking point. I mean, this is for your enjoyment, where they're putting their bodies on the line to entertain you, and for you to, do something to provoke them that, doesn't need to be I'm talking, you can't, shouting at them. That's maybe not the greatest thing, calling them an idiot or whatever for the fans, but, to push them or, chop them, or, like what that fan did at the UWA Hardcore show back in Toronto in, 2006, where this one chopped Chris Hero. Like, he does not have the right to do that. I mean, that's just retarded. So yes, you will, in those instances when you know, physically touch a wrestler like that, then I would absolutely agree for you to do that. I just wanted to know why back in the summer of 2006, The Undertaker and Great Khali were booked to face each other at SummerSlam 2006 in a last man standing match, but the match was canceled and put on the Friday Night SmackDown before this happened. Well, this is the reason I believe this happened. You have to think, well, looking back at Great American Bash, it was supposed to be that I believe it was Great American Bash, that Punjabi prison match where Great Khali was supposed to fight Undertaker in that. But they didn't have that match because Khali had a health problem, you know, an irregular heartbeat or something with his heart. So they changed it to Big Show, spur of the moment. I understand that. I came up with this. Maybe Khali wasn't, you know, cleared enough to go on the pay-per-view, so they put it on SmackDown where the match would get cut to shorter. You know, cut definitely shorter. Because it's a last-minute standing match. These things can go forever. And definitely it would be shorter if it's on a TV show than on a pay-per-view where you have, you know, more time to expand it. But this is the other reason I came up. The Undertaker and Great Khali matches were terrible. They were not good at all. And this is a big WWE pay-per-view. Maybe they felt this wasn't right to be on a pay-per-view. You know, this feud really wasn't going anywhere. The fans really didn't get into it. They were, you know, WWE tried to shove Khali down our throat by, you know, beating down Undertaker. People were like, okay, no, we're not going to buy this. This is Undertaker. We're not going to buy... I mean, it didn't hurt Undertaker. I mean, I know what Undertaker tried to do. He always tries to do the right thing for the business and make sense. But a lot of people, including myself, did not buy this whatsoever. So that's probably why they like, look, this feud is not going anywhere. The matches have been not good at all. Let's just put it on SmackDown. It's going to limit that, and we can be done with this and keep it off the pay-per-view. Because SummerSlam was one of their bigger shows, and I believe that was actually not a bad SummerSlam with Cena and Edge main eventing there. Do you think Vampiro got the recognition he deserves, and have you seen his documentary yet? No, I have not, but I heard it is actually now available on Amazon. The Canadian Amazon, so I may pick a copy of that up. I'd really like to see it. Does he get the recognition he deserves? In North America, no. He's actually one of the bigger draws in Mexico. I mean, he's a beloved guy, which, you know, think about this. This is a Canadian kid, a Canadian guy in Mexico, god amongst a lot of Mexican fans. So he's getting the recognition there. I mean, he's being portrayed as one of the bigger stars in Mexico, which he is right now with AAA. He's one of the leaders against the Foreign Legion in AAA. So, you know, he's getting the recognition there. You know, he didn't get the recognition here, but he really didn't do much in WCW. And this is WCW at a time when, you know, booking was, let's just put it that way, booking was fucking atrocious. So that's what I would just say there. I mean, he definitely could have good matches, just, I mean, a lot of people didn't like him as well. A lot of people think he's the biggest asshole in the world, and I can see where they're coming from, but still, you know, that's just my thoughts on Vampiro. And, you know, plus, you know, he was just that, you know, maybe people thought he was a goofy character, and that feud with Sting was kind of weird. That was supposed to be a big program for WCW, but they fucked it up, and they had that stupid graveyard match. My God, that was terrible. And what do you think about a potential Hopkins versus Dawson match? You know what, if they do that, I don't think they will, because I think Hopkins wants a fight with someone who can bring him big money. I don't think Dawson can, just judging that last performance. Dawson's going to need, you know, amazing performance in the next fight if he wants to fight someone with, you know, a name value like a Bernard Hopkins. So I think, you know what, if it were to happen, it'd be an interesting fight. I'd like to see, you know, definitely Bernard would have the power, and Dawson would have the punching speed. So I think it would make for an interesting fight. You know, it's like, once again, the up-and-comer against the old veteran. I'm for it. I'd definitely be down to see it. Your opinions of Bret Hart going to ROH. When I met Bret Hart back in the winter of 2007, I told him, would you be making, like, appearances there? And of course, he assumed I meant wrestling, and I felt like an idiot. But you know, I'm all for it. You know, I can't believe it's really been this long for ROH to get someone like Bret Hart. I mean, you know, he made appearances like a couple shows, you know, like shows like of the ROH caliber wrestling in the UK, at least with 1PW. He's made appearances at, even Canadian indies like BSE and, stuff like that. So, surprised, it took him this long to get him. But hey, he's in the right spot for it in Canada, so I'm all for it. He'll definitely get an interesting reaction. That weekend's going to be fucking awesome. I plan on it. I damn sure have my money put down on a ticket. Do you think that Amir Khan's the future of British boxing, or is there someone else better? I personally would say that Carl Froch could be the future. Or, that's just my thoughts there. I mean, Froch showed what a championship was made out of in his last fight there. Frick, now I lost his name. Jermaine Taylor, yes, there it is. Froch showed what it was to be a champion, got knocked down for the first time in his career, where that has to be a huge psychological thing, and came back and won the fight. Yeah, that was a thing of Jermaine's, cardio always being maybe a big question mark, but still, that's what a champion's made out of, so I think he's definitely the future. Khan is going to be, something, you should look up to as well, but I don't think he's going to be as talented as Froch. I'm telling you right now, Froch's the next Joe Calzaghe. What was the first pro wrestling event you saw, and what was the first show you attended? The first pro wrestling event I saw, meaning like big show, it was the King of the Ring 1993 show, where Brett won the King of the Ring tournament and had 3 actually really good matches with Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig, and Bam Bam Bigelow. And, with that beatdown from Lawler at the end of it, had Yoko winning the championship in an okay match. And of course, I for some reason remember most title matches, Shawn Michaels and Crush. It's just something I remember. The first event I attended to was a house show in Kitchener, Ontario, in '94. I believe it was a SummerSlam Revenge Tour, where I remember the opener was Atom Bomb versus Quang. It was actually a good match. I remember the next match was King Kong Bundy versus Doink in a bad match. I remember the British Bulldog took on Owen Hart, which was a good match. I remember the Intercontinental title was on the line in Razor Ramon and Jeff Jarrett, which was a good match. Tatanka and Lex Luger had a decent match. And I don't remember what the main event was, but I remember Duke the Dumpster Drozy and Abe Knuckleball Schwartz had an atrocious match. Let's just put it that way. And I also got to touch Scott Hall's hand when he went by. I was pretty close to the ring and got put up there, so that was pretty good. And should Ricky Hatton retire? No, I think give Hatton at least one more fight in the UK against Junior Witter. That's just what I've been saying for quite some time now. So that's my thoughts there. Do you think Shogun Hua versus Keith Jardine can happen? Because I looked at their stats and they never face each other. And who do you think can win? Well, we know Keith Jardine's booked up there with Thiago Silva, so that's just my thoughts. Well, that's a fact, actually, but I think it could happen. It'd be an interesting fight. I wouldn't have a problem seeing it, Keith put up a tough contest against Rampage. Shogun looked to be the old Shogun, so why not make it happen? That would actually probably be with the Shogun we got against Liddell at UFC 97. Let's get that fight going. That should be a real entertaining fight. And here's what do you think of the Santina gimmick? And how do you think they'll end it? Well, I think the gimmick sucks. I think, it was funny at WrestleMania. It was maybe funny in the night after, but come on. Let's just end it already. I thought they were actually going to end it this week on Raw, but it's just terrible. It's going nowhere. It's just honestly, I feel like I'm watching the product from '93 when I see this. It's just that stupid. And it's hurting Santino. With this gimmick, it's ruined Santino. They turned him face. I can't believe that. Santino was one of the best comedy heel characters in the business at that point. And you turned him face. Why? Oh my god. So, anyways, that's it for me. If you want to send questions on, anything, international pro wrestling and MMA and boxing, pro wrestling, boxing, MMA in general, stuff from the past, stuff you'd like to know, anything, just send it to my inbox and I'll answer it for the next Q&A. But anyway, for me, I'm out. Peace.